Hello and welcome back to the channel Coin and Banknote Enthusiasts. It's the Coiner here, and in today's video presentation I'll be going over the different $10 banknotes Australia has been using over the years. Starting off with this paper era banknote from 1966, which was the year that Australia released all of its dollar banknotes for the very first time. And what's special about this $10 banknote is that it was brought in specifically to replace the £5 banknote, as Australia was moving away from the pound and finally establishing its own independent currency known as the dollar, which we still use today. So looking at the banknote, it has Francis Greenway pictured here to the right. The color of the banknote is light blue. There's also a band of orange going in an upward direction here in the middle. Now on the opposite side of the banknote, the man in the portrait, his name is Henry Lawson, who I understand was a poet who wrote poetry about scenes of the outback gold mining town in Wollongong back in the 19th century. Moving towards 1974 now, where the previous note was discontinued only to be replaced by practically the exact same design, although this note has an improvement in the color. The ink is a better quality. Also another main difference between the original paper banknote is simply the title of the banknote. As you can see, the original was titled Commonwealth of Australia, and the banknote from 1974 onwards to present is simply titled with Australia. That's the only difference really. And of course, as mentioned, the quality of the printing of the note. Alright, on to the next $10 banknote. This one was released in 1988, part of a bicentennial commemoration. And that milestone was for 200 years since the first fleet reached Port Douglas. This note also was part of a trial, as it was the first ever polymer produced banknote. So first ever banknote made out of plastic, and if the trial was successful, then the plan was to continue using polymer to produce banknotes, and of course it was successful. So it's quite an achievement, hidden achievement for Australia. We actually paved the way for plastic banknotes. I know a lot of Asian Pacific nations did the same thing after this trial was successful. Looking at the banknote, you can see pictured is a ship as well as people traveling. You see one man on a horse, another man on a camel. Overall depiction is the migrating to Australian landmass. Flipping the note over, this side of the note is pictured with an Indigenous child, and I believe the point of this illustration is to, although We are celebrating 200 years since the first fleet during this time, back in 1988. I believe the message here to send was to also not forget the First Nations people, pay homage and our respects. As polymer was successful in its trials, Australia used the material in its next editioned banknote. This one here was released in 1993, and it's gone back to its traditional blue color with another improvement in color. This blue is much more vibrant than the original. Pictured in the portrait is Banjo Patterson. You can see him also riding a horse here. On the flip side of the note, in the portrait, her name is Mary Gilmore, who was also a poet. So that $10 banknote continued all the way until 2017, where it got replaced by this banknote. Same two portraits of Mary and Banjo. Slightly improved blue coloring with hints of green also in this section here. And an obvious difference between the note is this clear section of the note. There's also a hologram in that clear section of a cockatoo. So many improvements in the note again. It's definitely one-upped from the previous banknote, which served well for many years. Just to end the video, I want to backtrack a little bit. Going back to the 1988 bicentennial edition. There was also a $10 coin released, part of that collection released that year. This, as well as the banknote from 1988, was released. Non-circulating, purely collectors only edition, but I just wanted to show you as it might be worth including in this video, as it is a $10 coin, and I believe it was the first ever $10 coin produced in Australia, designed by Stuart Devlin, made out of silver. Okay, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you again soon. Thanks for listening.